This has been an especially odd week for our video scheduling between the real-life hunting video and those videos coming to a close with the buck video on Tuesday and the release of the handgun pack in Call of the Wild. Just a lot of things have been thrown out, but we are finally back in the Hunter Classic and we should finally be getting back on schedule with our regular uploads going forward from this point. But I wanted to get back out here. I think we had 2 hunts in a row on other maps just doing competitions, so today we're returning to our hunt for 400 elk, and of course we have the cable back to try to help us do that. Now you may recall a hunt from about a month ago, where we came out here and tried to hunt for Roosevelt Elk to do with the new skull mounts, and ultimately, we ended up shooting quite a lot of nice ones. I think we had 4 over 300, and the problem was, it turned out you couldn't do the skull mounts from the menu, and I wasn't taxidermizing them when we actually got to the harvest screen, so we're also going to at least try to kind of do that again. If we get any over 300, we'll tax them as a skull mount, and just try to do that. I think it could look really cool, and I really want to get to see what different variety we can do, and what they can do for a trophy lodge. So we may not be looking for the biggest ones to do that in terms of, 380 plus or anything like that, but if we can find them, I think it'd be nice to see how they look. Well, this is an unexpected plus. I fast traveled to a spot that I was really only wanting to start walking from and maybe not even hunt from, and we've got our first definite 300 bull of the hunt, 320 to 365. I would guess, based on that frame, maybe 340, but the lack of back tines may keep him a little bit below that. He's got 2 really good ones, but he could have a max of 4 more. There were at least 2 bugles. There's another one down there by the pond, and we'll probably, unless this guy gets here so fast we can just hit him and wait for the others, we may try to wait it out. I don't know. I'm thinking that one's too close and he'll spook, so we'll probably let everything get kind of under the stand. And that right there is pretty much the reason why he looks like almost an exact copy of the same bull, 315 to 360. I don't even know which one to shoot. This might be a legitimate reason to let them both stand side by side under the stand and try to compare. He's got double back tines on at least one side. He actually has them on both. He's going to be higher scoring. Let's go for him. We're not going to get both, I don't think. But we got to be careful. You see that kind of like shaking motion we get when we lean up against the tree? That can actually be a problem. I'm going to try as best I can to actually get that too. Spawn shot will work. We'll just go ahead and take the one and then maybe go and dispatch him in a minute. There was a whitetail buck coming in here, and that was what I was originally going to call in till the bull elk actually bugled first. That's a good looking bull. He may crack 350 because his back tines are actually even. Let's take a look. Left lung and spine 1, 352. We're going to actually do this correctly. We'll make the mounted skull. That's a heck of a start, and we have another one laying over there that's not too far below that. Not a bad deal at all, and it reminds me, the last hunt, if I'm not mistaken, we did almost the exact same thing. I can't remember the score. It might have actually been a little bit higher than that, but early on where the lighting wasn't that good, I'm pretty sure we shot a pretty big bull and obviously failed to make the skull mount, but same kind of thing, trophy shot was a bit dark. This one is just a really nice looking elk, obviously lacking on back tines, and this tine short I hadn't even noticed that. Everything else is really, really solid. I'm going to say 330s because of the short tine. Spine 3 at 327 actually, so maybe no trophy shot, but again, let's do the mounted skull, and that's darn near made up for that entire video where we didn't end up making the skull mounts. I think we got 4 over 300 and 2 were more so in the range that we got and 2 were like low 300s. We're 20 minutes in and looking like we're in good shape. This hunt feels almost identical to that last one. This is another really nice frame bull. Yet again with no back tines and a short tine there. Up to 370 though. And funny enough, we're in the same stand where we had that happen in the previous hunt. We were tracking one, which in this case we weren't. But we ultimately kind of blind called and had him come in. And that's what happened here. There are a couple of cows up on the mountain behind us that have been calling here and there. But finally from that guy, we get to hear a little bit of a vocalization, and here in a second, hopefully, we'll get to take him down maybe before the cows get here, and it's been new trails when the cows have called. So the hope is maybe there's a bull with them as well, but that's going to be the third that we can make a skull mount out of today. I'm really glad that we decided to go and do this. It kind of like I said, makes up for that last hunt. Now it does appear as though there were no bulls with the cows that we're calling, although there's one more elk still kind of sneaking through the trees. We'll try to get a look at what that is. Yet another cow by the looks of things. So let's just take one of these for getting another cableback harvest. And then we can take a look at our, I think, 4th bull of the hunt and 3rd well over 300. That will get us on the board there. I think, if I'm remembering right, I've had this happen, by the way. Sometimes when, like, opening the map or getting into a tree stand ground blind, it, like, changes the color scheme. Switching back to the map fixes it. I have no idea why that happens. But anyway, I think this should be cableback bow harvest 481 or something like that. We're moving along, but it's definitely been a slower process with all the different things going on as of late. But yet another nice elk. I'm going to say 340-ish again. Spine 2 and right lung 329. I actually thought he was a little better than that. But even still, another one to throw on the wall there. I'll be really intrigued to see. I want to go back and watch the last video and just see what scores we would have gotten on the wall had we been able to actually mount those elk in the stats page. But I feel like it's been very, very similar. I suppose it stands to reason that we're not going to be able to get a big elk with every herd, but that's not quite going to happen with this herd either. We've got another decent one, not quite the same frame as the others, and I think this is going to be the first time that we use a rifle today. All these elk were coming in from up on the mountain, and I decided to just call and move away, and I think that was the right choice, as that guy took a long time to actually get in and get closer. Now, I don't know that this one's going to be worth actually making a skull mount of. If he tops 300, which I could still see with a smaller frame, I guess we will. And again, I kind of remember like was it a 290 or something like that from that last video as well? His tine length is pretty decent. On his left side, even though that tine is long, it's still shorter than the right. Everything else pretty well matches. He may top 300 even still. Double lung obviously with the 30-06, just about there at 298. I say we won't go for that one. We may still get another 300. Who knows? The way this hunt is going, it wouldn't shock me. And we do have, I can't remember the score of that one, but one from a stream a couple of weeks back as well. So we have 4 now, counting what we shot today in the lodge to mess around with. Now we know that quite some time ago by now, the elk herds were kind of switched up to where you didn't always get a herd of like 5 bulls or a herd of 5 cows. You get bulls and cows in every herd, but I'm not exactly sure how we've ended up with a herd of only 2, 1 cow and 1 bull, and the bull is decent, definitely not one that could be a skull mount by the end of this, but I thought still the numbers kind of stayed the same. This may ultimately become another gun one though. The cow is pretty much walking straight over here, so let's go ahead and drop this guy, and we'll at least kind of run around and look for tracks and stuff. Now these were both new trails. We are pretty well away from where we shot the last one, and even still, there were 2 or 3 more bulls in that herd, so I really have no idea why there's only 2. Maybe numbers did get changed too, but I thought it was always generally 3 or 5. In this case, only 2, and I'm not actually sure why. Either way, though, I think maybe our 2nd smallest bull of the hunt. As I recall, the only one smaller than this was that first one that we shot. Double lung 230, still not too bad, and I think probably we'll continue our way through. I want to walk all the way to the north end of this little mountain range, and then we'll go to where we shot one last big one in the other video, and I think to wrap up, we may go back down in here again. Well, 2 out of 3 of our ideas did not produce any elk, but coming back down to the center of the map at least has 1 solo bull, which those I did know still existed. It was more so the ones in an obvious herd that were only, I guess, a herd of 2, or a pair may be just a better way to say that, but I think the first time I've used the cable back today and had to actually track, and it even still was a lung shot. It may be lung liver. It's a bit of an odd angle, but if he's made it that far, it's just going to be single lung, and we'll have to track him down for probably 3 to 5 minutes, but that's going to take us up into there somewhere, and we may end up just wrapping up at that. We still have to go back to the trophy lodge and take a look at our skull mount, so I don't know how long till we can fast travel. We'll at least hunt till then, but we are getting pretty far into the hunt by now. If I've counted right though, I think this is our 7th bull, and 3 or 4 of them have been really solid. 185 for him, and as for our fast travel time, we have 7 minutes, so let's just kind of scoot down in here, see if we can run into something. We probably will run. So, slight change of plans. We had to start a new single player session because I could not get the menu's trophy lodge editor to work. So, in order to actually get to view our trophies, we're gonna have to do it this way, and hopefully we can at least get the skulls displayed. And unfortunately, I've got a bit of bad news. You can apparently no longer place the elk skull mounts on the small plaques, nor on the little small round platforms, which you definitely could before do both of those. Now, they still look really cool like this. I mean, it really gives you a better look at the size of the antlers, but I kind of like being able to place them like in areas like this. Now, my guess would be, if it is intentional, it's probably because a lot of these small round platforms are in areas such as this. In the other trophy lodge, like where these picture frames are, you have small round platforms there where no matter what you would do, the elk antlers would be clipping through the wall. So I'm assuming they did it because of that. But even still, we get to take a look at this. One of my favorite things, by the way, that I think goes maybe unnoticed unless you have a situation like this. This is a 335 scoring elk from, I think, a stream maybe 3 weeks ago. And you can really see how much lighter in color its antlers are than the ones that we had today. This 352, which again, the size of that frame, having it just on the skull really helps to show that. We had the 327 from today, and also the 329 from earlier on in the hunt. I really like to see that, but I kind of wish at least we could put them on the small plaques. Again, my guess is clipping issues and stuff if they did do it on purpose. If we go and actually take a look at it, we can go into the skull section, and you can see where they're actually available. You can have it on the large plaque, it shows in the bottom left. Everything else in here cannot take the elk skulls. Now, bear and boar skulls can go on those, as well as on here, and I think maybe it's wolf skulls that also can fit on these. And as well, you have the bear and boar skulls for the large round platforms, no elk skulls for any of those. And so, as much as I like having these skull mounts, I just kind of feel like removing the ability to put it in some of these other spots kind of limits what variety you could do. Even if they could go on these small plaques again, it just opened up so many other options that you could do when that was available, and maybe it will become available again. I don't know if that change was intended or not, but either way, we finally get to see like a group of skull mounts, and they do look really good. I really want to find a way, regardless of whether it has to be on a large plaque or not, to put like a really big one in the main lodge eventually. And we'll just kind of see where that gets us whenever we have the opportunity to do that. But anyway, that is going to do it for this video. So as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.